Well, we're here, very cold morning, standing in the shadow, figuratively, of Mount Ararat, right there behind me. It's a cool place. One of the big questions people have about Noah's Ark is, was it a real story? Did it really happen? When you read the story, it kind of sounds made up. And of course, it's in all these children's storybooks, and there's like a Noah's Ark, which is a cute little boat with a giraffe's head usually sticking out the top. And it kind of looks made up there too. And I get it, everyone loves a story, story of a flood and people getting saved in a boat, kind of cute sounding. But is there more to it than just a made up sounding story? And I've got 4 things to kind of consider. We've got history, we've got geology, we've got culture, and a 4th thing, which I'll tell you in a minute. But in culture, it's not just in the Bible that there's a flood story. It's all around the world. So many cultures have a story of a big flood. It's like a big flood actually happened, and this story is passed down in cultures. And it's amazing how similar the different cultures preserve this story. And of course, the classic one is the Babylonian version of it, the Epic of Gilgamesh. And in that, it's even got the right number of people, 8. In Babylonian archaeology, they've even found a tablet called the Imago Mundi, which has a map showing you the way to where the Noah's Ark was. There's stuff in culture, even Aboriginal culture in Australia, that's a long way away. So there's culture. Then there's, geology. That's a bit of a contested one because it depends on how you interpret the geology. So there are some people that say, there's no proof of a flood. There are other people that say, well, there's proofs of floods. They say, but there's floods all the time. It's not proof of one big flood. Then there are other people who look at, like literal Christian geologists, I guess you could say, that look at it and say, well, hang on, there are fossils all over the world. There are fossil dogs, there are fossil cats, there are fossil humans, there are fossil dinosaurs. There's fossils of everything. How could you get so many fossils all over the world? Huge big natural phenomena like the Grand Canyon. They say that's proof of the flood. So there's a thought. So a bit of culture, a bit of geology, but the last 2, history and the 4th thing, I find the most fascinating of all. We've got ancient historians who've written about the flood, and they've written about Noah's Ark. And I'm going to read to you a few little snippets. We'll just chop this bit out, Joe. I'll have to run to the car and grab Josephus. Well, I've got here my copy of Josephus. Yes, I brought it all the way from Australia to Turkey. The heaviest thing in my bag. Josephus wrote Antiquities, and he actually quotes other historians. We don't have the writings of those other historians, but we get a little bit of hint of it here. Josephus says, now, all the writers of barbarian history mention the flood and this ark, among whom is Berossus the Chaldean. For when he is describing the circumstances of the flood, he says this, it is said that there is still some part of this ship in Armenia, the mountain of the Chaldeans, and that some people carry off pieces of the bitumen, which they take away and use chiefly as amulets for the averting of mischiefs. So get a load of that. There's an ancient historian called Berossus who said that at the time he wrote it, a part of the ark was still there. And people were scavenging bits of it to make lucky charms. There you go, that's Berossus the Chaldean. He says this too. Hieronymus the Egyptian, also who wrote the Phoenician Antiquities, and Menaeses and a great many more make mention of the same. So there were other historians saying similar things. But now, Nicholas of Damascus, in his 96th book, had a particular relation about them where he said this, there is a great mountain in Armenia upon which it is reported that many who fled at the time of the deluge were saved, and that one who was carried in an ark came on shore on top of it, and that the remains of the timber were preserved for a great while. A 4th source there, Nicholas of Damascus, and he's actually the historian who wrote the life of Herod the Great. So this historian was living at the same time as Josephus, And he records that the remains of the ark were preserved for a long time. That's another reason why we don't think the ark is still there, because we've got two ancient sources that say, one of them says that a part of it's still left, and another one says the remains of it were preserved for a long time. With voices like that from ancient history, we say, hey, sounds like a real thing happened. So then we come to the last thing, which for me is the most convincing of all. It depends on who you are as to whether you find this convincing. And it's found in the Gospels. It's the Lord Jesus Christ. The Lord Jesus believed that Noah's Ark, Noah's story, Noah's flood was a real event. The way I see it is if Jesus believed in something, then I believe in it too. Now you might be skeptical, and people are. They say, oh, you know, some people don't even believe Jesus is real, which is a crazy thought. Jesus is very well documented. But for me, Jesus being the Lord, being God, coming to earth, giving his life for us, showing us his mercy, well, for him, if he believed in Noah, then I would have to say, even if there was nothing we could use to bolster our belief, I would say, I trust the Lord. I do trust the Lord, but with a little bit of cultural evidence, anthropological evidence, with a bit of geological evidence, with the word of historians, I'm pretty sure that the Noah's Ark story is a real story. Would you join us for our extended video where we go into more detail with all of this, talk about some of these features in detail? There's some other questions that come up in this chapter as well, the chapter 7 of Genesis. We'd like to explore it all with detail. Please join us.